As we like to say here in beautiful downtown Almaville, we are fixing to blow your mind with what you can do with live bamboo. While it is true that most of our customers want a tall screen like the one you see in the background in these next two slides, some folks want a smaller one and a more sculpted view. What you're seeing in the background here, behind the grape arbor and next to the granny cabin, are full-size plants 23 feet tall and about 4 feet thick in most places. This is what most of our customers come looking for. If you look closely, you'll see that the first 3 or 4 feet at the bottom is completely exposed. There's no foliage. You get to see the beautiful legs, as they say, the gold with the green stripe in it. Wait till the next slide and you'll see how you can trim a hedge and have foliage all the way down. What we are about to show you would be much more dramatic if you were here to see it in person. What you're looking at is actually a 13-year-old grove of exactly the same plant as you saw in the previous slide. So why, you may ask, is it so short instead of being 23 feet tall? Well, look overhead and to your left and you'll see some power lines. As it turns out, the electric company made us do this. But it has turned out to our great advantage because what you're actually looking at is 4 different heights of exactly the same plant. You may say, I don't see but 3 different groupings. No, there's actually 4 because that lawn in front of you is also completely loaded with bamboo. It simply is run over with a lawnmower on a routine basis. At first blush, this probably seems almost impossible to grasp that this could be exactly the same plant, but it is. In fact, what you're looking at on the right-hand side is a manicured hedge. We trim that with hedge trimmers. You will see each of these groupings from a different angle very soon. The grouping in the back is hand-trimmed. It's a little bit taller. It's about 7 feet tall, and it is hand-trimmed one piece at a time, one time a year, that being the spring, when the bamboo is in its shooting mode. It only sends shoots up about 30 days out of each year. You're going to see that grouping in the back from a different angle because it is used to hide a shed where we keep tools. You will see the grouping to the right up against a fence made out of bamboo poles, and the grouping to the left was originally cut to the ground and then allowed to come back to about 4 feet in height. And don't forget, Group 4, which is the lawn. It simply is mowed. As you're going to see, each one of these groupings, even though it's the identical plant, has its own characteristic shapes. The beauty of this process and of this plant is that you get to decide which shape you prefer. But even more than that is the fact that you can change your mind from one year to the next. If we wanted to change the footprint or the horizontal shape of any of these groupings, we could do that in May of next year when the shoots come up. We could allow this entire mass to be one large grouping of 7-foot tall bamboo if that's what we wanted to do. Or we could turn it all into a lawn if we wanted to by mowing it all to the ground. We could change from a curved shape on the right to a straight line. When we explain this to people, it almost staggers them. It's hard to believe that you can be that creative with the shape of a plant. Obviously, you could not accomplish that with a row of trees. That is one of the reasons why bamboo is frequently used to fill in where there are dead spots in rows of trees such as arborvitaes and Leland cypress. In this slide, you are looking at the same grouping of plants, but from exactly the opposite direction. You can see the tool shed on the right that we discussed, which is about 7 feet tall, and as you can tell is below the power lines. We have deliberately trimmed this in a different fashion. It makes it a little bit more of a shaggy look because it's trimmed one piece at a time. That may sound like a lot of work, but it really isn't because the plants are very soft when they first come up in the spring, and you only have to do it once per year. Once again, it is all about the look that you desire because you're the one that gets to determine what this looks like. Again, you have the lawn right through the middle here that is simply mowed with a lawnmower, and to the left you begin to see the edge of the fencing around the 4-foot hedge, which is trimmed with hedge shears. Don't forget that a couple of years ago, this was a 23-foot tall, 13-year grove of Spectabilis. This is exactly the same plant as the one you saw behind the private garden. In this slide, you're looking down the driveway, and this is the fence that we were discussing with the 4-foot manicured hedge. This one is accomplished by using gas-powered hedge shears. You could also do it with electric if you had a cord that would reach that far. Don't be confused by the plants in the background. Those are in an irrigation rack. Those plants are the ones that are ready to go out the door with the customers. This is another view of the hedge next to the fence. You can see the bamboo poles. They're not really holding anything up. They're just there for decoration. But you can see how extremely dense this foliage is. Keep in mind that the mature plants, same age, 13 years old, that we showed you in the first slide, were gold at the bottom with a green stripe and no foliage whatsoever for the first 5 feet. Here you can't even see the culms themselves, which are gold, and they're hidden by the foliage because of the way that this plant has been trimmed. But it is exactly the same plant. In this slide you can see another view of the tool shed and the plant next to it, which is trimmed at approximately 7 feet. You'll notice that it's rather bushy, and it's shaped this way because we have trimmed it one piece at a time rather than with hedge shears. Once again, the beauty of this is that you can completely change the look from one year to the next, strictly based on what you want it to look like. Also, if you want to, take note of the plant in the front, that pole, and compare it to the orange handle on the pole pruner. You can see that some of these plants get pretty large. But the most important thing to notice from this slide is that, once again, this is the very same plant you saw on the first slide with a gold culm with a green stripe. However, as you can see here, you've got foliage all the way to the ground, and in the first slide you did not. Okay, now for the quiz. Let's see if you can figure out what you do in this case. If you'll notice, there is a lamp post there. Unfortunately, the lamp is not going to shine its light across the top of the bamboo over into the parking area, is it? So what would you do about this? If this was your clump of bamboo or grove of bamboo, is this a big problem? The correct answer is, of course not. 30 seconds with a set of electric hedge trimmers, and you've got a clear shot from where the light bulb is in the lamp over into the parking area. Now, before we go back to one more shot of the full-size plant, just to joggle your memory, give some thought to how difficult changing the shape would be if you were dealing with trees. It wouldn't be impossible, but it would be very close to that. And in this case, with bamboo, it's extremely simple to change your mind. And I don't think there's a gardener on the face of the earth who doesn't change their mind from time to time. So now we have come full circle back to the original full-size plants. When you come out to the nursery, you'll get the full impact of how much you can actually do to be creative in the design of your garden using these plants. It really doesn't take great strength, great education, or great skill to accomplish what we just showed you. But you do need to know how, and the good news is we do know how, and when you're through with us, you will also.